and welcome back to the session on interpretation of taxing statutes. In the previous session, we dealt with the first two principles. Third principle is doctrine of purposive construction. If the strict interpretation of the taxing statute is likely to lead a manifest absurdity, then the golden rule of construction implies that the meaning of words should be so affected that such absurdity is avoided. The application of this rule is rather limited in the realm of construction of taxing statutes, since the literal rule would gain precedence over the golden rule, and it is often remarked that equity and taxation are strangers. For the purpose of construction of taxing statutes, the context, the scheme of relevant provision as a whole and its purpose are also relevant. Hence, the object of the legislature has to be kept in mind for giving a purposive construction of the various provisions of the Act. Under entry 54, list 2 of the 7th schedule of the Constitution, sales tax laws and VAT laws have been enacted for levy of tax on the transaction of purchase or sale. Hence, the provisions raising presumptions of not surrendering the transit passes in respect of the goods passing through the states to be deemed sales and provisions relating to imposition of penalty in absence thereof has been treated as legal and valid by the Honorable Supreme Court in the cases of Sindhi Transport Company versus State of UP reported in 1986. Hence, the doctrine of purposive construction ought to be applied and the transactions must be considered in the sense in which the legislature intended it to be done. The fourth principle is doctrine of harmonious construction. When any provision of a taxing statute is interpreted, it must be so constructed that the meaning of such provision must harmonize with the intention of the legislature behind the provision in particular and the enactment in general. However, this would always be subject to the fact that the particular provision or even the entire enactment should not be held unconstitutional. The fifth principle is construction of penal provisions. There are several penal provisions in taxation statutes and these have special rules of interpretation, and notable among these are strict construction, prospective in operation and not retrospective. Thus, any act which is not currently not an offence cannot be made retrospectively by amendment of a penal provision with a retrospective effect. Presumption of mens rea, that is guilty intention to commit the crime, unless the statute specifically provides for the absence of the same. With regard to the penalty proceedings, the Honorable Supreme Court has given two important decisions. In Union of India and others versus Dharmendra Textile Processes and others 2008, while examining the scope of section 11 AC of the Central Excise Act 1944, a 3-judge bench of Supreme Court observed that a penalty imposed for a tax delinquency is a civil obligation, remedial and coercive in its nature, and is far different from the penalty for a crime or a fine or forfeiture provided as punishment for the violation of criminal or penal laws. However, in Union of India versus Rajasthan Spinning and Weaving Mills 2009, the Supreme Court observed that we fail to see how the decision in Dharmendra Textile can be said to hold that section 11 AC would apply to every case of non-payment or short payment of duty regardless of the conditions expressly mentioned in the section for its application. The decision in Dharmendra Textile must therefore be understood to mean that though the application of section 11 AC would depend upon the existence or otherwise of the conditions expressly stated in this section, these decisions were considered by the Supreme Court in connection with the penalty proceedings under section 10 capital A read with section 10 class B of the Central Sales Tax Act in Civil Appeal number 2344-2347 of 2004, CST versus Sanjeev Fabrics, and Civil Appeal number 6382-6383 of 2004, Hari Oil and General Mills versus CST. And after considering the various decisions, the Apex Court has held in para 22 of its judgment as follows: we are of the considered opinion that the use of the expression falsely represents is indicative of the fact that the offence under section 10 clause B of the act comes into existence only where a dealer acts deliberately in defiance of law or is guilty of contumacious or dishonest conduct. Therefore, in proceedings for levy of penalty under section 10A of the act, burden would be on the revenue to prove the existence of circumstances constituting the said offence. Furthermore, it is evident from the heading of section 10A of the act that for breach of any provision of the act constituting an offence under section 10 of the act, ordinary remedy is prosecution, which may entail a sentence of imprisonment, and the penalty under section 10A of the act is only in lieu of prosecution. In light of the language employed in this section and the nature of penalty contemplated therein, we find it difficult to hold that all types of omissions or commissions in the use of form C will be embraced in the expression false representation. In our opinion, therefore, a finding of mens rea, a condition precedent for levying penalty under section 10 clause B, read with section 10A of the act. Sixth principle is charging sections to be strictly construed while procedural sections should be liberally construed. The charging section in a taxing statute has to be strictly construed, but the provisions which do not create any charge but lay down the machinery for its calculation or procedures for assessment of tax or its collection has to be construed by the ordinary rule of construction. For interpreting the machinery provisions, it should be so construed as to effectuate the liability imposed by the charge section and to make the machinery provisions workable. If the provision gives an incentive, exemption or deduction, then such provision has to be construed liberally so as to determine the liability. In construing the machinery provisions, literal construction can always be departed, and an interpretation which gives the benefit incentive should be liberally accepted. Interpretation of exemption provisions. This is a very important and practical rule of interpretation and generally resorted to while interpreting the sections pertaining to incentives, exemptions and deductions, where the spirit is to promote exports, increasing earnings in foreign convertible exchange, promote industrialization, infrastructure development, etc. Similarly, interpretation will have to be adopted where certain exemptions are provided to any person or industry, then the provision of such exemption has to be strictly construed, but once the subject comes within the eligibility of exemptions, the other provisions to effectuate the exemption should be liberally construed as held by the Supreme Court in the case of Bajaj Tempo Limited. A provision in a taxing statute granting incentives for promoting growth and development should be construed liberally, and since as provision for promoting economic growth has to be interpreted liberally, the restriction on it too has to be construed so as to advance the objective of the provision and not to frustrate it. While interpreting the various provisions, the court must not adopt a hyper-technical approach and to apply cut and dry formula. A pragmatic approach should be adopted so that the object of the insertion of particular provision should be achieved. Similar views have been expressed in Jaggilal Kamlapath vs. CIT 1969, CIT vs. Strawboard Manufacturing Company Limited 1989, and CIT vs. South Arcot District Cooperative Marketing Society Limited. The object of provisions of taxing statute being to promote the setting of the new units and to increase the production of goods, such provision has to be interpreted liberally so that the object can be achieved, as held by the Supreme Court in the case of Commissioner Trade Tax vs. DSM Group of Industries, reported in 2005. The said judgments are important, which is reproduced below. Mr. Sudhir Chandra relied upon the authorities in the cases of Oblum Electrical Industries Private Limited, Hyderabad vs. Collector of Customs, Bombay, reported in 1997. Commissioner of Sales Tax vs. Industrial Coal Enterprise, reported in 1999, and KK Steel Union Limited vs. Commissioner of Customs, Kanda, Gujarat, reported in 2001. In our view, there can be no dispute with the above mentioned proposition of law. Therefore, there is no necessity to consider in detail the authorities relied upon. In the case of Srinivas Cable Components vs. State of MP 2012, it was held in para 29 as follows. It is now a well established principle of law that whereas eligibility criteria laid down in an exemption notification are required to be construed strictly, once it is found that the applicant satisfies the same, the exemption notification should be construed liberally. Similarly, the Supreme Court held in similar cases CIT vs. DSM Group of Industries, TISCO Limited vs. State of Jharkhand, State Level Committee vs. Morgan Shammer India Limited, Now Open India Limited vs. CCE and Customs, AP Steel Re-Rolling Mill Limited vs. State of Kerala, and Rees Electro Controls Private Limited vs. CCE. In the case of GP Ceramics Private Limited vs. Commissioner Trade Tax 2009, which has been referred SEC page 421, it was considered in paras 15 and 16. It has been mentioned that the sole question which was considered by the apex court was as to whether land allotted in favor of industrial undertaking, which was followed by execution of lease deed, supply of copy of letter of allotment, will satisfy the statutory requirement of registered lease deed, and the court found that the criteria was fulfilled, and therefore the benefit of exemption for 10 years was granted in para 36 of the judgment. Para 29 at page 101 of the judgment are very important, which fully applies in our case and is quoted below. It is now a well established principle of law that whereas eligibility criteria laid down in an exemption notification are required to be construed strictly, once it is found that the applicant satisfies the same, the exemption notification should be construed liberally. With this, let me conclude the session here. We will learn remaining principles in the upcoming video.